been drunk when I saw it. So time to get it honest. Love calls when it does. At the end of the world, all men, crooks and robbers, and still nobody stops. A hard truth when she softens. At the end of the world. So when you know it's right, anything that comes your way, I'm standing in between the lines. Yes, I never got it right. That's why it's hard to be sober. That's why it's hard to be sober. That's why it's hard to be sober. I live life on two trains, and most things are both delayed. Missing all your phone calls. I just wanna go away when you're not near me. Every song's a throwaway. Reminds me of a program. Some curses just generate. Differences astounding. Running out of things to say. I'm just trying to show love. Scared of being cliche. Sometimes I miss the flow. Sometimes I make mistakes. Texting that I'm on my way. Know that you don't wanna wait. So when you know it's right. When the day hurts your whole life. I'm burning in between the lines. Yes, I never got it right. That's why it's hard to be sober. That's why it's hard to be sober. That's why it's hard to be sober.
I'm Raina Douris. Bartees Strange is my guest today. On World Cafe, Bartees Strange performing music from his new album Horror, a song called Sober. Bartees, welcome back to the World Cafe.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
I'm so happy to have you. The concept for this new album came to you before you released your last album, and it actually came to you, I think, 2020, 2021, and you were working on Farm to Table at the time. This came up in your mind. First of all, how did you know that these songs that you're performing today and that made it onto this album were for something different, and you had two distinct, separate projects on your hands?
I mean, at the time, I was just trying to get songs recorded. Like, I was like, oh, I've got some downtime, and I want to try to just get some stuff, like, knocked out. And I quickly realized that, like, I had one record that was, like, very flowy and felt easy to make. And then I had these other songs that I was like, this is like a whole mess of ideas that I really like, but I'm a little afraid to touch right now.
Why were you afraid?
Well, the subject matter was stuff that I didn't really want to do publicly. And also production-wise, I didn't know how to do what I was hearing. And I was like, well, I want to wait a couple years before I try this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The first song that you wrote for the album was Too Much, which is the opener for the record as well. I want to play a little bit of it, but first, could you tell us why Too Much is a good introduction to horror?
Yeah, it was my introduction to horror. And so I felt like it would be cool if the first song that everyone heard was the first song I heard, which kind of opened the door to like all these other sounds.
Let's hear some of Too Much. This is Bartees Strange.
I know you like it, baby. I don't need much. It's like you're too rough to hold. Some days you're having to touch. In all these reasons for why you don't
That's a bit of too much. The opening track of Bartees Strange's new album, Horror. So that's one of several songs on the album co-produced by Jack Antonoff. What was your chemistry like with Jack in the studio?
It was cool. Yeah, of course, like, you know, he's kind of like a juggernaut kind of person, but like when you meet him, he's kind of like a plumber. Like he's just like a blue collar worker kind of studio guy. Like he'll do anything in a studio. He's like, who's getting the coffee? I'll get the coffee. Like, oh, we're going to record drums. Well, you play the drums, or I'll play the drums, or we'll have someone else do it. Like he doesn't care how it gets done. He just knows how it should be done. And I felt like he and I have like a common brain in terms of like working all the time. Like, and when I realized that that's what he does, like he just goes to the studio every day, I was like, oh, you're one of those. Like I get that. And so we were able to connect, and he's just so generous and good. Like it was just like a great collab.
I'm talking to Bartees Strange today on World Cafe. So you've had this busy couple of years, not only, you know, touring farm to table, but producing for other people, playing for Bleachers, producing for Lucy Dacus, a couple of the songs on her upcoming new album. You worked with Cadence Weapon, who I love, a friend of mine. How did all of these experiences that you had since you started working on Horror years and years ago, all of these experiences in the studio, how did they help shape the sound of this record? And was there anything you were really excited to try when you got in to make this one?
Yeah. Okay. So like I said, when I first started working on Horror, I didn't know how to make everything I was hearing. And I was like, I think I need reps. Like, I was like, I need reps. I need like to produce records so I can know how to do this stuff I'm hearing. So I'm like, I worked on the Casey Hill record, and then I worked with Cadence, and then like a bunch of other artists, like artists in Baltimore, a couple artists here in Philly. You know, it was like just kind of hitting everything I could touch. And by the end of it, I had got to try out all these things on just different records. Mm-hmm. And like that was sick because I didn't want to try it on my record first. You know?
And when you came back, you felt like you knew how to do the things you wanted to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I had a great, you know, overseer in terms of Jack, you know, because it's like I would try some stuff and he'd be like, yes, but this. And I'd be like, yes,
yeah,
that's it. You know, so it was awesome. I learned so much like through that the last couple of years, like really big deal.
It must be just an amazing feeling to be able to translate what you want and what you are feeling in when you're thinking about a song into reality. I feel like that is such an interesting idea to me as someone who doesn't make music myself, but I might think, oh, this would be cool, but I would have no idea how to make that real.
It's like cooking. It's like I'm going to make handmade pasta and like do like a, you know, basil gnocchi, blah, blah, blah. And you do it and you're like, that's a little different than I thought, but it's pretty much what I wanted. And that's how records are.
Let me quickly reintroduce you. I'm talking to Bartees Strange on World Cafe. His new album called Horror. You're going to play some more for us now. And this is one that you produced on your own called Baltimore. There's a line in this song that I really love. You say, I'm thinking about the lives that I don't have. And I know that this album, you sing a lot about fear. What is the fear that you're exploring in Baltimore?
I think probably because of how I grew up, but I always am thinking about where's like just a safe, affordable place you can raise, like you can be just a black person, you know, diverse, affordable art community. You know, it's like the more things you ask for, the fewer and fewer and fewer the options there are. And it's me just kind of cycling through the options and not knowing where to go. And I think that's kind of like a fear of mine, is like being in the wrong place too long or putting myself in a situation where I can't like flourish. And, you know, I've done that in the past, but I felt like I found my place, which is the title of the song, Baltimore. Yeah.
And before I ask you why Baltimore was the right place, I know Philadelphia gets a little shout out in this song, and we tape World Cafe in Philly. So for the audience who's here right now, could you tell us what were the things that made you consider living in Philly?
Oh, I love Philly. First off, I love the people. Very diverse city. Great food. I have so many friends that live here, like Will Yip and freaking Connor, my tour manager, and like Mannequin Pussy, like Missy and all that. Like, you know, the Soul Glow people. I know all these people that live here and that I've played with for years. I used to freaking open for Soul Glow at the pharmacy and stuff. Like, you know, so it's like, I love this city, and it was one of the cities that I really, really thought about living in. And also, when Will Yip started building that new studio, he was like, you got a room? And I was like, ugh, you know, but then I was like, my parents moved to Maryland, and I was like, well, let me try this, and I like it where I'm
Yeah.
at. Yeah.
Could you tell us a little more about that? Why is Baltimore the right place for you?
Baltimore is like life on easy mode, you know? It's like so affordable, so many black people, so many artists. The Peabody Conservatory is right down the street if I need like a freak, like a weird string arrangement or like some freak percussion weirdo. Like
I like the idea of you going in there and being like, "Hey, I need a freak percussion weirdo."
I don't have a problem doing that because whatever, you know, I have a studio there, you know, like my rent's really cheap. It's international, like international airport, 15 minutes from my house. You know, it's like I'm really cruising.
When you put it all in a list like that, it does sound pretty ideal.
And the people are sick. And like I started off in DC, so it feels good just to be like in the vicinity of like where I've had my musical kind of experiences, like my key ones, you know? So I like saying I'm making music from there, you know? Yeah.
All right. Live for the World Cafe, Bartees Strange with Baltimore.
When I think about places I could live, I wonder if one's good enough to raise a few black kids. Wife's a city girl, but I'm born from the sticks. No hope for me and mine. We just get it how we live. Philadelphia always shows love. DC's nice, but the summers are tough. New York City just costs too much. I'm thinking about the lives I don't. Thinking about the lives I don't have. Thinking about the lives I don't have. I envision a house with cobblestone, a nook to read with bookshelves built inside the buried home. Backyard blue jays, so my girl's not alone. And a lake that freezes over when the winter months come. Toronto's beautiful, but it's not time. LA's got everything except for people like mine. Chicago's perfect, but do you wanna grind? I'm thinking about the life I don't have. Thinking about the lives I don't have. Thinking about the life I don't have. Thinking about the life I don't have. My backseat lover, don't you drive in the back of cars, lived a whole nother life. Never ran from no other, they were dying inside. Every day like my brother, they took your life, and now I'm staring down the edge again. Future's got a sketchy grin. Should I grab the wheel and spin? Look at me. I don't need no other. I could put that on mine. So let's to the blood go. I don't need not one down. Ever ran from no other. They were dying inside. Every day like my brother. He took your love, and now I'm safe and standing up again. In the brightest lights, time is pulling up on all my sins. How much can I buy? See, now I'm staring down the edge again. Future's got a sketchy grin. Should I grab the wheel and spin? Being scared has made me bigger now. Bigger than I was. The darkest side of waking up, seeing who I've become. Grace is still a savior. Every moment that it comes, I'm reminded of a hope for me, and how fast that I could run. I know you want me to leave, but I need you right now. When there's nothing to see, but I just need to find out. You and I got some reasons that we could leave right now. I know there's not enough for me, but I just need to find out. The future's coming for me, and there's no breaking free. Time's a winner and fears got you nailed to a tree. The only way up for me is to break down.
Performing in front of a live World Cafe audience, Bartees Strange with Backseat Banton. That's a song from his new album, Horror. I'm Raina Douris, talking to Bartees about that album today. Could you tell us what the word Banton means?
Yeah, it's like a word for a storyteller. Like there's a rapper named Buju Banton. That's kind of where I first heard about it, but my Jamaican friends would use it. It's just a word for like someone that tells stories.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You'll notice I'm picking out a lot of lyrics today. I'm
I love
going to
it.
keep doing it. But there's one in that song. Being scared has made me bigger now, bigger than I was. The darkest side of waking up is seeing who I've become. And you are singing about fear. The album is called Horror. But in this song, it doesn't sound like it's necessarily about being afraid. It sounds like you have a more complicated relationship with fear. Maybe it's about overcoming it. Could you talk us through that a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, that phrase is kind of about like how I feel like in my own life, I was kind of scared of everything. Like, I'm like a hyper avoidant, pretty anxious, non-confrontational person. And all three of those create like a very weird vibe in my mind sometimes. But there's times when I'm able to channel all that into something. And it's like all that fear, I can use it to make myself bigger. And I can make myself like do things that are bigger than who I see myself as. And that's kind of what that phrase is about. And the darkest side of waking up is seeing what I've become. Is it's like every day you wake up and you still have these fears, like, and they've propelled you to a place, whether that's in relationships or with friends or with your job or whatever. And you know in your heart, like, I didn't get all these things just because of how good I am at it. I got these things because I was running from something else, you know, and that made me run faster than other people. So it's like you're accepting like the good and the bad and the ugly of yourself and choosing to love all of it. And that's kind of what that phrase is about.
So there can be almost benefits to fear.
Yeah.
You said that you've always been afraid, ever since you were little.
Yeah.
You were scared then. I mean, you got into horror movies when you were pretty young. What drew you to those?
Well, this is like child brain, but I thought that like, okay, I'm always going to be scared. So I just need to get good at being scared. So I'm going to watch horror movies, and that will teach me how to at least be able to function when I'm scared. And then I fell in love with horror movies, and it's like my favorite medium.
What was the first horror movie you remember watching?
Probably Candyman with my dad. My dad likes Candyman. And then the second one I watched isn't really a horror movie, but it's the movie Spawn.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was like, whoa, this is a complicated bad guy. I like him.
Yeah. Well, I was going to ask you this because, you know, when I was a kid, there was a point where my parents were like, you can't watch E.T., you get too scared, because I found E.T. terrifying. Was there a movie when you were young that was not supposed to be a scary movie that you were afraid of?
Dude, Roots.
Oh, yeah? Yeah.
My parents are like Southern black people, and we always lived in like white areas, and they were just like, you need to know how scary life is, you know? So they would make us watch like all the Ku Klux Klan documentaries, all the Roots stuff. And I was just like, oh my God, white people are so scary. Like that was my, you know, when I was like a 6-year-old, you know.
A fair reaction to that. Yeah. I mean, using horror or fear as like a training mechanism sort of is it interesting, but it makes sense. It kind of makes sense. It's such a primal feeling you won't forget.
Yeah. And I feel like people have a weird relationship with fear. It's like no one wants it, but it's important. Like it's like sadness or malaise or grief. It's like these things you have to feel other things and to appreciate them more. And so I think over the years, like my relationship with fear is just like, you know, I walk into it like it's like feels, I know it very well.
Are there any things that you appreciate about that genre that maybe you didn't fully get when you were a kid?
Yeah. I think understanding what scares people is like a really interesting thing. And I think I fell in love with horror because like I've always wanted to travel and see the world, but when I realized I could watch like French horror and horror from Japan and Taiwan and all these countries, I started to understand them. I was like, oh, culturally you're different than us. Like we fear other things. And that was just fascinating to me, you know? And I also feel like in the horror medium, art is just like always being explored. Like there's all these new formulas to break and rebuild and try new things. Whereas in like drama and thrillers, there's such a set mechanism for telling a story. And horror, it's like you can just go everywhere and it's fun that way.
I mean, this feels like the natural place to go. Do you see parallels with that with your own music?
Yes. I mean, I set my record up as a horror movie, like not like a Michael Myers horror movie, but more like a Ari Aster horror movie, like Hereditary or Midsommar, where you feel like everything's okay, but it's not okay. Like there's things that are nostalgic and referential, but if you look a little deeper, things are upside down. And that's kind of what the record is. Yeah.
Like there's an uneasiness even when things seem like they're fine.
Yes.
Maybe they're not.
Yeah.
I'm speaking with Bartees Strange. His new album is called Horror. This is World Cafe. The last song that you're going to play for us also deals with fear, like many of the songs on the album, but in a very personal way. And I guess first I want to ask you, how autobiographical is this song, 17?
Oh, extremely. And it's a funny song. It's a song about times where I feel like I'm a kid and I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you sing the line, the first time that I felt impending doom was realizing I'm too black for the room. Was that line inspired by a specific event, or was it sort of a collection of experiences?
It was inspired by first grade, 10th grade, college, my first job, my third job, my current job, like my life, kind of, I've ended up in those places. And that's kind of the point of the song is it's not about being 17. It's just like when I was 17, that was the first time I thought everything was going to change. And then I just realized I was like, oh, nothing's changing. Like I keep coming back to this room, like having the same experience over and over. And you come to find out that's just life. Like you have these cyclical challenges that you face over and over until you get past, And so, yeah, that song is about just like all these moments as I get older where I'm like, I still don't know what I'm doing or what to do next.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, when I heard that, I think about when you're operating largely like in an indie rock space, you're performing, there's a lot of white artists, you're performing for a lot of white audiences. And I would imagine that feeling, does it still come up for you when you're playing? How does it feel to sing that line?
It's funny.
Yeah.
Because it's like, people ask me, they're like, what's it like? When like I have friends that are rappers, and that make beats and DJs and stuff. And they're like, yeah, what's it like? Like, most of your fans are white. And I'm like, well, a lot of them aren't, which is really cool. But I feel like I make stuff for everybody. And like, I feel like a lot of the stuff I'm referencing is like nostalgic to a lot of different people. And I don't really care what my fans look like that much. I just am excited that they're into what I'm doing and are going to share it with people. Like, we just played a show at 930 Club last night, and I don't look out and think, dang, a lot of white people here. I'm like, I sold 900 tickets. This is crazy. I remember when I couldn't sell 15 tickets. That was not long ago, So it's like, that's like the coolest thing in the world. And like, I'm very grateful for my audience and my fans, and I would not trade them.
It's been so fun watching you become more and more successful over the last few albums. Thank you for being here. Can you play 17 for us? And before you play it, maybe, is there anything else you want to say about it before we hear it?
No, I don't know.
All right. Let the song speak for itself.
Yeah, it's a good song.
It is a good song. It's 17, performed live by Bartees Strange on World Cafe.
Up on time, on standby, and I don't even know where I left my phone. Weeks turn to months in a minute. What do I be on when I'm not home? You see, I'm only 17, mama. Push the Chevy to the brink, kinda. I'm sweating through the seats, Donna. It's kinda hard when you don't see quite where you're going. Staring through the ceiling. Starting to think that I don't need friends. Some days I don't know where I belong. First time that I felt impending doom was realizing I'm too black for the room. I was pushing it down just for you. You'll never see me like I see you. Why every dream I have just can't come true. So you're talking me down, so used to hearing that from you. See, I'm only 17, mama. Push the sherry to the brink, kinda. I'm sweating through the seats, darling. It's kinda hard when you don't see quite where you're going. Staring through the ceiling, starting to think that I don't need friends. You ain't wrong to go that way. What I give to make you stay. Not for nothing, I'ma be your babe. Heard of windshield wind, I feel safe, yeah. I'm only 17, mama. With the Chevy to the brink, kinda. 55 for a week, daughter. See, all the folk I got a weed and stealing. It's hard to see the leaves, daughter. I look up, I see the sky glowing. I swear, I think I need something. I look up, I said, good God, I know it's the end. This is Graham Richmond on the keys, Dan Peterman on the bass guitar. He normally plays electric guitar. Today he just had to do this because the bass guitarist couldn't make it. And then TK Johnson on the drums. Thanks again for having us. It means a lot. Yeah.